Hello, and welcome to day 41 of March for Humanity. I am Amma, and I realize tomorrow will be my 6th week wrap-up. It's been a while crossing a country. Very beautiful, very memorable to my feet in particular. I wanted to say, I think, two things that perhaps cross over. Because I was outdoors the last 2 nights and didn't have electricity, I hadn't seen President Zelensky's speeches. And I watched a couple now. It occurs to me that perhaps in a much more professional way, he's looking at something that I'm kind of looking at as well. I made this march without planning in advance. I didn't plan for Russia to attack Ukraine. I didn't plan to not be able to sleep anymore. And I just started. And I think that that's a peculiarity of mine, that I will do things without thinking of all the reasons it can't be done. And perhaps that's needed. I even see President Zelensky doing this with his idea for U-24. Right now, the funds and things, he's brought this up before, and I think people just ignored it and kind of laughed at it. But he said people ought to respond to emergencies. Other nations, other peoples need to respond to emergencies within 24 hours. Famine, and a famine. Anyway, it seemed a bit peculiar, but now he brought it up again, talking to, I think, Iceland. He never stops. 3-4 things a day he is advocating for his nation, and if only there were more countries, more nations with advocates, we would hear from them. We can't help but hear from Ukraine. But I think that people need to start thinking beyond the limitations, because limitations protect how it is. And then you can't change how it is if you don't think beyond those limitations or outside them or around them. And how it is isn't acceptable. I also heard a podcast about unsung heroes. It's Michael Lewis, who has written quite a number of wonderful books, and he has this podcast about Beyond the Rules or something. And a man who understood that you couldn't find people at sea with all the limitations people had, and he had to think outside of those limitations, and he changed basically the world. Many people are now recovered at sea because he understood that the limitations, if you just lived with them, you never had better outcomes. So thinking beyond our limitations, or being peculiar and doing things without thinking of all the reasons it can't be done, I guess is what I'm trying to say tonight. Take care. See you tomorrow.